Family is who folds their arms around you. Family is who folds their arms around you. And as we get a chance to be able to continue with our next inductees, I want to be able to bring another quick slide up for you as well. I want you to take a look here. Because if you're going to leave a legacy, make a mark in the world that can't be erased. If you think about the impacts, the writing, the imprinting that has occurred already, one thing that's universally true amongst all of us in this room is very simply 24. Please say the number 24. We all have 24 hours in the day. What do you do with it? What kind of mark do we make? One of our inductees' lives started in Sparta in 1930. The others started in Piney Creek in 1932. Now, one of these people, they were grew up on a dairy farm. The other one grew up on a beef cattle farm. And 20-ish or so plus years later, George asked Ida to go to a party. And their lives and the region, and for that matter, the impact here has never been the same. The combination of these two philanthropists, philanthropy is when you give your time, your talent, or your treasures, when you give, when you pay it forward. From George's service with the Wilkes Chamber and Wilkes Health Foundation and a founding member of the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching, to Ida's decades of support with the YMCA that laid the groundwork for one of their most lasting legacies, the establishment of an endowment at Camp Haynes to provide Wilkes youth with an opportunity to experience residential camp. And let's take it further. An additional endowment to the Wilkes Family YMCA to offer swimming and safety courses. Constellations came together. Making a mark on the world that won't be erased, would you please welcome our next inductees, George and Ida Maude Collins, accepting on their behalf Miss Ida Maude Collins. And as Miss Collins comes to the stage, I want you to be able to think about the legacy and the impact, the ripple, if you will. The ripple of one element, an endowment, a giving, a sense of, when we do this, legacies over and over. I share that with you because remember, $32,000 has been raised, but that's an asterisk. We have an opportunity to be able to add to that tonight as you consider and see your Wilkes Hall of Fame members, how to be able to add to this resource that goes back into our schools. What a great way to be able to do that with our QR codes, with, of course, our ways to be able to contribute. You have an ambassador, you have a champion that will be very, very excited when you when you give that donation. They'll be so proud of you. But for right now, we are going to be able to bring up to our next Hall of Fame inductee members. We're getting those pictures for them, but I'm going to ask if you would, once again, would you please, you're going to be able to put your hands together for none other than Miss Ida Maude Collins.
Thank you. This is such fun. Have I turned up the microphone? Probably.
I'll try it.
Thank you.
Is it on? Not on. There we go.
Okay. This is absolutely and totally a surprise. My children really know how to keep a secret. They asked me the first of the year Mom, do you have anything planned for May the 22nd? And I said, I don't think so. At 92, my social schedule isn't really great. And they said, well, you do now. Thank you, Brian and Allison. I love both of you so much. I also want to thank those of you who were kind enough to write a letter of recommendation. Those of you who did the video, you looked real professional. And also each and every member of the committee for the Wilkes County Hall of Fame. These guys put in hours and hours of work. And I also want to thank God for my many, many blessings. This is so special, and it's even more special to me because my late son-in-law, Tommy Husky, was recognized and honored tonight. When George and I talk about family, we know that we've been blessed so many ways. George and I came to Wilkes County in February of 1959 as newlyweds. George went to work for the Northwestern Bank, and he was immediately involved in the community through the Wise Men's Club and the JCs, neither of which are in existence right now. And through the years, both of us tried to commit ourselves to supporting our community and Wilkes County whenever and however that we could. I treasure the friendships that I made and the people that I met when we were all working for one thing together. Maybe different projects, but we were all working for one goal, and that was the betterment of Wilkes County. Some days it was just pure hard work, but I just cherish every minute of it and being a part of it. And at the end of the day, hope we had made a difference. George was involved in a whole lot more than I was, statewide and countywide. If I had to pick one thing that I think might have been most meaningful to George, it was being a charter member of the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching. The programs for those teachers are amazing, and I am just happy to know that some of our Wilkes County teachers have taken advantage of this. George was a people person. He was fun to be with. He would entertain you with his funny stories and took a great deal of joy in doing that. And he also had a great sense of humor. When George retired from the bank, they asked him what he would like to have in the way of a retirement gift, and he said he'd like to do something for the YMCA. I think most of you here will remember that the old YMCA had a great big parking lot to the left of the building. And then a lot of people parked down at the other end. It was closer to the front door. There was just one problem with that. The YMCA didn't own that piece of property. So the bank bought the property and gave it to the YMCA in George's honor. And when all of that was put together, we had a nice luncheon at the YMCA with the board and with guests. A beautiful plaque was unveiled. And George was very pleased with it, and he thanked everybody graciously. And he said, "I'm the only person I've ever heard of that had a parking lot named for him." That's George. And thanks to Jenny Richardson, that same beautiful plaque is sitting in front of the Wilkes YMCA today. I am beyond honored that George and I could go into the YMCA, not the YMCA, but the Wilkes County Hall of Fame together. George loved Wilkes County, and so do I. I've called it home for 66 years. Thank you.
George and Ida Maude Collins brought humor and grace to every aspect of their lives. Together they were a force to be reckoned with because he could be sharp and analytical and ask all of the tough questions, and she could smooth that over with kindness and grace and come to a full picture of what we were really talking about in the community.
When I think about the Collins family, I think about the legacy in this community. Miss Ida Maude, she served on our YMCA board from 2015 to 2021. Mr. George served on the YMCA board and was involved with the YMCA from 1977 to 89. And even when they weren't on the board, they were very involved and very supportive. They've been very involved with the Y throughout, to today. Miss Ida Maude, she may have been there this morning working out,
George and Ida Maude had a very strong faith. You didn't have to listen to George talk about his being a Christian. You could just follow what he did and how he acted, and the same with Ida Maude. They just showed their Christianity, and I think that's what made both of them such great human beings. During the Northwestern Bank days, one of the reasons it was a great place to work was because of George Collins and his leadership. George was always active in the community.
George served on the board of the Health Foundation, and so we spent a lot of time in boardroom figuring out what the next steps were and what we were going to do. George, he was again one of those folks who was just all in, ready to support a project. George was a champion for the kidney dialysis center in Wilkes County. We didn't have one, and people were traveling long distances for that care. In later life, he came to be a patient at the same center that he helped bring to this community. It seemed like a really special full circle moment that was not lost on him. Just an incredible testimony to his lasting ability to make a difference in the world.
I did not have the privilege of knowing Mr. George. I feel like I know him with some of the stories and some of the things that I've heard, but one of the things that I've heard is just what a servant that he was. He served in that role as banker, but then he went beyond. He went out into the communities and made a difference.
Ida Maude can encourage a whole generation of young people. Sometimes people are afraid to praise other people, but she always had an ability to hone in on something special and let you know that she saw it and she noticed it and she appreciated it.
The first time that I met Miss Ida Maude Collins was at Wilkes Family YMCA, and we were in the lobby. One of the things that I loved that I got to see that first day I met her was her energy, her passion for children. The children of Wilkes County are so important to her, and they're so blessed to have her. She's amazing. I work very closely with endowment giving, and one of the things that we've seen in the Collins family family has just their investment in things that last and that continue to make a difference. Wilkes County is their home. They have been investing in Wilkes County, and our YMCA would not be the beacon of hope that it is today without the Collins family.
There are things in this community that we absolutely take for granted that wouldn't be here were it not for their leadership. What a wonderful combination they made. What a lovely couple.